Definitely long lasting. And all the while, people are dealing with power outages. They don't have running water, internet, and cell service are also out. We definitely spoke with some residents about what it's been like for the last few days here on the ground. Take a listen.
Well, we don't have any power. We haven't had any since Friday morning. We had water, running water, but we can't drink it. And now the pressure is so low that there's no water coming out anymore, really. It's undescribable. I don't know, it just was covered in litter and trees and mud, and it's stinky, and it was all the way up the street up here. It just looks like the bottom of a river.
top stories breaking at 8. We start with the latest on the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. North Carolina was hit with flooding it hasn't seen in a century. I want to go back to Faith Abubi in Asheville. Good morning, Faith.
Power, cell service, or even safe drinking water for so many people here in western North Carolina. We're in historic Biltmore Village, an area that's popular for dining and shopping here in Asheville, which was submerged in water. You can see the debris just around me here, and the floodwaters were so strong that they were able to carry this commercial fridge from who knows where. The area damaged. Take a look overhead as we show you drone footage going miles and miles of damage. One official calling the devastation biblical. This morning, the death toll climbing after Helene barreled through the southeast. Buncombe County, North Carolina, our affiliate WSOC capturing the scope of the damage from above. At least 30 people declared dead, dozens more unaccounted for.
These response teams are working around the clock to make rescues, to access neighborhoods.
The extreme floods washing away homes and bridges.
Get out of the way! Oh, God!
At one point, North Carolina DOT forced to close more than 400 roads, deeming them unsafe for travel. Members of the National Guard and relief teams from 19 states joining the search and rescue missions.
This is an unprecedented tragedy that requires an unprecedented response.
In Asheville, many residents growing desperate, cell service and potable water out for days.
This is apocalyptic, not just for Canton, but the entire region.
And Canton Mayor Zeb Smathers telling ABC News it's nearly impossible to reach emergency management due to the cell service outage.
To see our cell phones completely black out and not have the ability to allow people on their own accord to check on their loved ones or say, hey, look, you live near water, please leave.
And you're now looking at live drone footage showing you the widespread devastation. This morning, there are still hundreds of roads that are still closed off, either because they're flooded or they've been washed away or they're just unsafe in one way or another. And for example, this street where we are is also closed as well. There's so much mud here that it's even unsafe just to walk on foot. Yeah. Guys.
We want everybody to stay safe when they come out and just access what's going on out there. Faith, thank you so very much.
Welcome to the News Hour. The devastating toll from Hurricane Helene keeps growing. Authorities say at least 120 people have died across 6 states, and officials fear that number could grow even larger. Many more people are still missing and unaccounted for.
In North Carolina, communities are in crisis, with many roads closed, slowing the delivery of food, water, and other desperately needed aid. And some places in Florida are now trying to recover from their third big hit in less than 2 years. Special correspondent Christopher Booker has our report.
For residents on Florida's Big Bend, it's been a year like no other. The small community of Keaton Beach took an almost direct hit from Hurricane Helene. It was the third hurricane since last summer to strike this stretch of the Gulf Coast.
Where we're standing, all that's left is what?
Just the pylons on the house.
Just the pylons?
Yep, that's it.
Where is the rest of the house?
Over there in the canal, across the canal.
Shannon Millinor lost his entire home to the estimated 15 feet of storm surge. He was born and raised in this area and says many in this close-knit community are reeling.
They're just devastated. We pretty much know everybody down here, and this, everybody that lived here full time just thought that, they're going to come home and now they have nothing, just like we do. Everything closed and everything.
While people in Florida have started to clean up, the aftermath of Hurricane Helene continues to wreak havoc across almost the entire southeast. In western North Carolina, rescue teams are still searching for victims as floodwaters have submerged entire neighborhoods. The state's governor, Roy Cooper, called the disaster an unprecedented tragedy.
Today, we did an aerial overview to see the damage here in western North Carolina, and it is extensive and devastating. We know that it's going to require significant resources both in the short term and the long term.
Among those rescued over the weekend was nurse Janetta Barfield.
And even before the officer got to me, the water was all the way up to my chest inside my car.
Floodwaters and damaged roads left some of the hardest hit areas of North Carolina completely cut off. Many residents in the mountain city of Asheville remain without running water or cell service, but a lucky few have managed to find power.
We did not have cell service for the first 3 days here, but it's just coming back, and everybody's wanting to get their devices charged so we can let our family know that we're safe.
In Georgia, playground equipment sat partially underwater. In Atlanta, 11 inches of rain fell over 48 hours, the most the city has ever seen over 2 days. And in eastern Tennessee, a bridge collapsed into a river. In all, more than 1 million people across the southeast are without power. President Biden addressed the devastation today.
I'm here to tell every single survivor in these impacted areas that we will be there with you as long as it takes.
Helene roared ashore in the Big Bend last Thursday as a Category 4 hurricane, with winds of 140 miles per hour and record-breaking storm surge.
This storm underlines a complicated mix of questions for the people who live here. First, should they rebuild? And if they do, what will that look like? And then, can they afford what were already the highest home insurance rates in the country?
From 2017 to 2022, Florida homeowners saw a 45% increase in premiums, leaving many unable to afford insurance altogether. Cedar Key, a Big Bend island town of about 700 people, was also one of the hardest hit. Officials estimated a quarter of the homes were destroyed. Sue Colson is the mayor. She says the storm will fundamentally change the place she's called home for 30 years.
We have to learn we cannot fight nature, and we cannot build the Titanic that will never sink. That's insane, and we still think we can do it. We can do better at building. We can do better at the codes. But then maybe we need to rethink where we place things. Maybe we shouldn't build a food market at the bottom of the hill where it's always getting damaged.
Does a storm like this force the question as to whether a community like Cedar Key can continue in the era of these big storms?
Oh, no, that's so silly. That's a silly question. We have never not been inhabited. It's a prime place to live. It's a prime place to exist. The problem is we have to learn how to work with nature, not fight it, not think we can overbuild it.
About 40 miles up the coast in Steinhatchee, residents were salvaging what they could from Maddie's, the town's only grocery store. During past big storms, the water never even reached its door, but Helene's surge nearly touched the ceiling, ruining practically everything and blanketing the store with mud.
It's truly amazing how powerful water is.
Crystal Moraz is the store's manager.
This is your third hurricane in 13 months.
Yeah, and I fear there's another one. I hope not. We can't take another one. This is the worst I've ever seen this place. And we've gotten beaten by hurricanes a lot. And I've never seen it like this. I've had friends who have completely lost their house.
While plenty of storms have hit the Big Bend throughout history, experts say the recent ones have been the most intense.
There is some element of just very, very bad luck in this part of the country. But on the other hand, I do think that there's a climate change fingerprint to this.
Ryan Truschelet, a meteorologist based in Tallahassee, says warmer and rising waters in the Gulf of Mexico, driven by